Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Lau with Kenshan Crafts, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I am going to be showing you my currently inked for May 2023. I know that it is towards the end of May, but I still had a lot of the ink left from my March pens, and so it was a little bit later for me to ink up some new pens. And so let's get started. For this month, I have reduced it down to just 8 pens because, from last month, I realized that's, like I don't write through all of them, and I have more internal piston filler pens, and so like the ink lasts a little longer. All right, so in here I have my rickshaw pen case again, this gorgeous, beautiful teal. The pen on here is, I think it's like the Platinum Century. I think this Platinum Century is already out, but the newest pen that came out is the Pilot Custom 74, I think, that was in the same color, and so I just thought that was kind of funny. But also, it's a beautiful color, but I am actually on a no-buy, like no pen buy diet is what I call it. I did post on the Gold Spot giveaway, and my question was, what are some tips for somebody who needs to be on a no pen diet? Is what I call it. And so Tom from Gold Spot gave such a great answer for that. And so I have not bought a pen since April 20th, which is a little bit more than a month ago, and I have been resisting the urges to buy a few pens here and there that have came out, but there were a lot of pens that were so expensive or just kind of like it's up my alley but not completely something I would love. So that has also helped me with not buying any pens since then. But there are a few pens because the last pen I bought was in April 20th that I haven't showed yet or made a first impression video, so kind of look out for those as well. But for today, here are the 5 pens that I have in this pen case that I will be showcasing. So there's these 5 plus this case of my 3 Leonardos that I will be showing off. All right. And again, I think this month I was kind of also going for the rainbow palette. I just think it's nice to have all of the variety of colors to use, but there's only 8, and so I could only choose 8 colors. I mean, I could choose a lot more, but it's a lot of pens to be using up. All right, so this first one, I am going back and cycling through my Platinum Kanazawa Maki-E. So again, this pen is, it's not the urushi pen. I think it's lacquered, just has a layer of lacquer on the outer layer after it's been laser. The design here has been lasered onto the barrel of the pen. And so it's not the expensive, like time-consuming method that is used in most Maki-E pens out there, where they take months and months for them to like etch in little grooves and crevices into the barrel, and then they would put like gold flecks on top to fill those holes, and then put a layer of lacquer over, and then wait for that to finish drying, and then doing multiple layers on top of that. So that's the traditional Maki-E urushi. But this one is more of the modern Maki-E, and it is cheaper to make. So it is also more affordable. And then this pen, Platinum Kanazawa, is a very small pen. It's got a small nib in comparison to all the Leonardos that I have bought, but it is still slightly bouncy, which is really nice because it is a 18 karat gold nib. So the 18 you can see there above the P, so 18K. And in this pen, I had inked in the past, I had a green ink in here, and I told myself I don't want to ink it with a red because I put Pilot Momiji in here, and it kind of ruined my pen, this pen a little bit. Just the aesthetic of the, the outer body, but the nib still writes perfectly. But for this period of currently inked, I have this with Ferris Wheel Press El Gokun Maple. So that is a bright red, and I thought that is fitting for spring going into summer. So this is my platinum. Kanazawa. Maki-E. And this is in a medium nib. The ink in here, Ferris Wheel Press. El Gokun Maple. And it's a generously wet ink, but it flows pretty nice out of this pen. This platinum pen isn't the most wet of a nib or feed. I've tried it with some dryer or other average inks, and it doesn't come out of the pen quite that juicy, but this is really nice. It's a really good pairing. So that also goes to show that this ink is really nice. And what I'm seeing here is this is a bright red, but it comes out of this pen really nicely to where it's like a bit of a darker red. And it also dries a little bit on the dark side, but it stays this nice dark red. So it comes out a bright red and then dries to this little bit darker red, which I really love. So it's easy on the eyes, but not too much in your face. But I think that's the pen and ink combo. So on the swatch itself, it's very bright, as you can see. And it's quite different in comparison to how the pen writes. So I like that it came out a little darker. My next ink and pen is my orange one, and I have it inked up in my newest Leonardo pen. This is the Leonardo 2023 Bohemian Twilight Supernova. The Supernova is the model of the pen, and Bohemian Twilight is the resin pattern. And I have this in a rose gold finish. It is absolutely gorgeous. My first pick was the ruthenium, which is the darker trim, which I thought would have gone so beautifully. Like, it's just so cool. But those ones sold out on Endless Pens, and it's the most expensive Leonardo I have bought. And it is completely worth it. It's like, this resin isn't usually my type of resin, but I told myself, it's got the gorgeous teal in it, and kind of contrasted by a beautiful orange and some darker blues and purples. Like, why should I not love this? And you know what? I do love it. Especially this area, this side of the pen, where you got all the colors just like intermingling together. That's what I like in these kind of resin patterns. But with resin patterns, it's completely random, so you never know what you'll get. But I love this side of it. It's so beautiful. I will do a more in-depth full video on this pen so that you guys can have a closer look at it. But for today, I'm just going to show you my ink pen combo. And here's my orange. It's Diamine Golden Honey. It's a beautiful shading ink, and I have this pen in an elastic fine or extra fine, and this is the 14 karat gold nib, so it is extremely flexible compared to the steel elastic. So this is my Leonardo. Supernova. Bohemian Twilight. Yeah, I still have to get used to how bouncy this pen is, or this nib is. But it is on the thinner like side of the nib, so it doesn't write as like smooth. Like it doesn't sound as smooth as my other Leonardos, but it's still a very smooth writer. So it does have more feedback just because it's a toothier grind and as an extra fine. Let's see, this is Diamine. Golden Honey. And this is the elastic extra fine. So this Golden Honey is very, very high shading ink. So if you put this in a stub, it looks gorgeous. I thought that if I put it in here where I can have some line variations, that there might be a lot of shading. And I think once it dries, there will be some shading. But because this pen has such a generous feed and nib, it just pours so much ink out that I feel like I'm not getting much shading because it's such a wet pairing. And so a lot of ink is coming out and I get the darker shade anyways. So you can see here on my like little swatch here that it can go pretty light of a yellow to a light orange. But I simply just love this combo. Like this is my Supernova, or the Supernova Leonardo is meant for my orange inks. But as with all like custom resins with multiple colors, you can put any ink to match the body. And so I like that about these custom resins, is that I can put multiple inks in there and it still matches pretty well. Because I am a matching person, matching, complementing kind of ink pen person. The green one I have is my Pineider pen. And this is the Pineider Arco Desert Beetle. This is a gorgeous, beautiful body. And the best thing about this pen, aside from how beautiful the outside Arco resin looks, I love this silver white part. It's so nice. And then the clip here is also like a beautiful quill shape. And then it's a magnetic cap, but it's airtight enough that the ink doesn't completely dry up on me. So sometimes the ink has changed colors, like it gets a little darker. So that, I think that's I've seen that issue in a few of my pens. So I'm not quite sure how exactly to like remedy that, but it's not a big problem either. So this is a piston filler, and I have a green ink in here that is also very high shading. It is the Wearing Ghoul's New Hope Crown. This is a beautiful light green that has a little bit of yellow in there, so the shading can kind of see that. So this quill nib on this Pineider is also very flexible. So just like my Supernova here, the flexible extra fine nib, this is the quill fine nib. So they don't call it flexible fine or anything, but some retailers call it flexible. Let's see, so this is my Pineider. Arco Desert Beetle. And the ink in here again is the Wearing Ghoul. New Hope Crown. So it is slightly a bit on the drier side. I think the combo becomes a pretty average combo here. Like it dried pretty fast, so it's not as wet as these two up here. But I love the color. It is such a nice springy color. And going into summer, I think it's a really great green. Okay, and then the next one is my teals and blues, or teals turquoise. Let's see. We'll start off with my Spring Rain. It is such a beautiful, beautiful pen. I'm returning to it because I do miss writing with my sailors. The only thing I don't like about the Sailor Medium Fines, this Sailor Pro Gear Slim comes from the Sound of Rain series, and a lot of the Sailor series only are available in medium fines, and so medium fines are extremely thin. They're like a true Western extra fine, or maybe even ultra fine, because a lot of like you can see this Leonardo extra fine is kind of thick. It writes as thick as the Platinum Medium, which is a Japanese brand, but these ones write ultra thin. I like my sailors. I like to write them in a thicker pad of paper where it absorbs ink faster, because it tends to be a little less thin. On Tomoe River paper, it writes super thin, which is fine if you are writing very little or writing very small. My Spring Rain pen comes with a 21 karat nib. Let's see if I can focus that better. Yeah, so 21 karat nib. It is two-toned. It is so beautiful, but the nib is so tiny. Like it's a really nice smooth writer, and Sailor nibs do come with a lot of feedback. So, and I don't mind that. It's actually pretty nice. Like pens with little feedback is also great. They feel super smooth. This one is smooth, but the feedback makes it feel like, I wouldn't say less smooth, but it has some tactile feel and ASMR to your ears when you write with it. So if you don't mind that, this pen, the Sailors are good, really good for just note-taking, because they are very thin if you have a thinner nib, and they are drier nibs. These nibs are on the dry side, and so they will dry your ink very fast, so they're great for note-taking when you don't want to just have the ink pool for so long. They are called Sailor Professional Gear for a reason, so I assume that the dryness of the nib kind of, attributes to the fact that it's like a professional pen. Let's see, so this is my Sailor Pro Gear Slim in Spring Rain. This is a medium fine. And the ink I have in here, I had mixed two inks. I'm not sure if they are the best inks to be mixing, but I have in here Suigyoku by Pilot and Kobe Nunobiki Emerald. So Nunobiki Emerald is a teal ink that is leans a little bit on the blue side. Suigyoku is a green teal. It is a darker green teal. So it's not that bright, and so I mix it together and to make this nicer, like in between or middle color. They look so similar anyways, but the Suigyoku I know for sure from Pilot is a very wet ink, and so I was hoping that the wet factor kind of is prominent in this mixture, so that this nib isn't completely dry when I'm writing with it. So the ink, Pilot Iroshizuku, Suigyoku, plus Kobe. I love Kobe inks. Nunobiki Emerald. Let's see, I tend to write so much better with very fine nibs. I'm surprised it comes out so well. I had initially put emerald in here, Nunabiki emerald, and I didn't really like it. It wasn't wet enough. This is actually pretty nice. But like it's still a very fast drying combo. Let's see, it dried pretty fast, but it writes so smooth. So I'm very happy with this combo. And again, this is my Spring Rain, my beloved sailor, my favorite sailor. And again, I don't know if you guys, or if I told you guys, but my goal is to collect all the Sound of Rain sailors because I just love them so much. So I have the Spring Rain, and the last pen that I bought, mentioned earlier on April 20th, is actually the Summer Rain. So I got it on AliExpress, and in April 20th because AliExpress takes a while to ship their stuff. So I will showcase that pen for you guys in summer, as it is a Summer Rain pen. So, but for now, I am writing with the Spring Rain, and I just love writing with it so much. The next pen, let's see, will be the teal. Like, this is a teal, but also very leaning blue side ink in my Visconti Unicorn Galaxy, the Kaleido model. And this is just one of the most beautiful, gigantic pens I have. It is very turquoise, but it's got beautiful wispy whites and lavenders throughout the pen. Lots of glitter too. So, and this is my broadest nib in my May currently inked. So I have in here my Ferris Wheel Press Tokyo Bay Blue. It's got blue shimmers or blue glitter particles, and the ink is a teal, a really beautiful teal, but it's a little bit on the blue side. Let's see. So this is a 14 karat gold nib. Rhodium, I think it's rhodium plated. So Visconti, Kaleido, Unicorn Galaxy. I think this pen flexes a little bit, but it is bouncy when I write with it. I don't typically like to flex my pens, even if they're gold. But it writes so smooth. It puts so much ink, and like if using this on Tomoe River paper is really nice because Tomoe River paper is super thin, and all this ink can kind of pool or onto the page. But this is a drier shimmer ink, so I think it would dry a little faster than usual. So the ink is Ferris Wheel Press. Tokyo Bay Blue. Yeah, so this, it dried a little faster. And again, like I said, the ink is a drier ink because it's a shimmer ink. So I do need to shake the pen a little bit to get all the shimmers. As you can see, like the pens, the top three pens had a much more wetter ink flow in comparison to this. That's what maybe just the first two, but it dried pretty fast and it didn't continue to stay wet, which is really nice. But I think the rest of this is still drying, so it's such a lovely, smooth wet writer, and I'm so excited to be writing journal entries with this because it just looks so pretty. It is big, so I only use it uncapped, and I do like to write small, and so even with this broad nib, I still tend to write small, but it's nice that I can also write pretty big with it. Okay, so that is my teal. Next is my purple and then pink, so two more pens. Actually, I think it's just my last two Leonardos. So here are the two Leonardos that are left, and they are my pink and purples. I did switch out one of these because they were both purples. I switched out one of them for a pink, or like I would say it's like a dusty pink with a little bit of purple. So, all right. So the one I kept purple is this one. Is my this is my Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Mother of Pearl by Jonathan Brooks, and the most unique part of this pen is the pearlescent lavenders that kind of shimmer throughout the pen. My pen didn't get as much of that. Like, I would wish that the purple would show up a lot more here, but you can see a little bit of that. And so because of that, I decided to put a purple ink in here, a very light lavender ink. And this my Momento Zero Grande here has a stub nib. It is a 14 karat gold nib. But because stubs are a little bit on the stiff side, this pen doesn't really flex, because stubs are not meant to be flexing or have big a lot of bounce to it. The pen does have a bounce to it, but you don't want to flex this, or I wouldn't want to. So oh my god, this is one of my most beautiful Leonardos, one of my favorites, top 3 favorite in my Leonardo collection. Joy to write with. This stub nib. Let's see, Leonardo. Momento Zero Grande. Mother of Pearl. This is stub nib. And the ink in here is the Sailor, Manyo, Niko Yanagi. This is a very dry shading ink. It's a little bit on the drier side, not completely dry. So if you put this ink in finer nibs, it'll kind of drag on the paper. That's my experience with my when I put it in my Sailors. But in this stub nib, it's ultra smooth and it shades so beautifully. You can see a little bit on the top here. If you do block writing or print writing, you can see the shading better than cursive. But I can see on this Tomoe River paper, the ink is already has some blue hues that that it shades into, and then it's got lighter lavenders and darker purples in the pooled areas. So I think out of all these inks, this is my favorite ink pairing. So I'll just show you the wetness of this ink. So it's dry, but you can see that a lot of it is still goes out there when I do the swatch with my hip. When I do the smear. And so it dries, but at the same time, it is a slightly wet tip and feed combo with ink. I love writing with this so much. I've already written some some journal entries, and you'll see on my Instagram if you go there. But beautiful, beautiful pen and ink. I don't think I will switch out of that one anytime soon. It is a piston filler anyway, so it's got a lot of the ink in there. And then my last pen, one of the most handsome Leonardo in my collection is this. It's a bit different than most of my Leonardos. It is like a royal purple with this I would say like it's like a golden brownish gold color, and it's a little bit more blocky than I would love, than I like, um, but it is still such a stunning pen. I just love this like beautiful royal purple, like it's like a blue purple, um, and it's contrasted by this beautiful gold. It's such a beautiful pen, and in the light it kind of looks blue too. um, so this I have inked up with a Private Reserve ink. I don't usually use Private Reserve, but this ink is so nice. It's a bit of a muted, what is it? A muted dusky or dusty pink. It's kind of like um, Sailor Urameku. Do I have that? No, I don't think it's Urameku. No. What is that one pink? There's a Sailor Cherry Blossom ink. I will put it up here when I find out what it is. Oh, Yozakura, yes. So I think that's a Sailor ink. So Sailor Yozakura, it almost looks like that, maybe. So this is Private Reserve. The ink is Private Reserve Arabian Rose, and this pen here is Leonardo's Momento Zero Arabian Nights. So the name matches really well, and the color of the ink, I think, complements this pen. Let's see. So Leonardo, Momento Zero, Arabian Nights. And the ink is Private Reserve, Arabian Rose. And this is a fine nib. It is a beautiful, beautiful fine nib. So yeah, this ink pairing is also very wet. Do you see that? It's such a gorgeous, like pink purple color. Not sure exactly the term for this. I don't think it's mauve, but I do like this pinkish purple. This is up my alley of pinks. And yeah, so that's such a beautiful pairing. I had a Fuji, Sailor Fuji in here, and it's a nice solid purple, but I wanted something a little more unique and different, and this fit the bill for me. Okay, I'll just do a little zoom in close up of my inks from May 2023. Just beautiful, beautiful colors. Spring colors moving into summer. So I'll just kind of show my ink, the inks here, like 4 at a time. And you guys can just pause if you want to look at the swatches of these inks. They are definitely brighter on the swatch cards than through the pens, I think, only because, you know, in pens they do write slightly different. So let's do these 3. I just really, really love my teals and turquoises. As you can see, I always have at least 1 or 2 inked up every 2 months. And then the last, oh, ow, I forgot one more. Wow. This this is my okay, so the blue is a real beautiful baby blue. But there's these 3. The one I did not show is the Colorverse Project 029 A Gem, or a Gemini. And this is a beautiful light sky blue with pink shimmers. Do you see that? It's such a cute, beautiful color. And I thought, you know, it's a really nice spring color. I have that inked in my Lamy All-Star. This is the Cosmo, or Cosmic, and I think that's just a perfect name for a constellation ink. So let me try to fit it down here. How did I forget this ink? Okay, so this is the Lamy All-Star. This is a medium. No, this Lamy is in the cursive. It's a cursive nib that I bought from Goulet and just attached it on here. Cosmic cursive. And the ink is Colorverse A Gem. They have a lot of these, like a gem, a cap, a tau, which is like, you know, Gemini, Taurus, Cancer, all those constellation or celestial zodiac. Yes. So this is Gemini, and so it comes out darker than the swatch. The swatch is like a baby blue, I think, or like a baby, I don't know, sky blue, muted sky blue. But in here it's just a darker. I feel like it's darker. This cursive nib is actually very, very, like, it lays down a lot of ink. So I'm surprised that I don't see any shimmers in here. But maybe the shimmer in this Colorverse ink is also very subtle. So not sure what pen it would go best in, but this is a very wet flowing nib, so I'm hoping that it will be great. But you can see a lot of shading already from this pen, and so this is also very high shading ink. It's probably a little bit on the dry side because it's a shimmer ink, so I would say medium broad stubs will be the best for this ink. But as you can see, the cursive, it comes out like very wet and saturated. So okay, well, that is all of my pens. Finally, like, I can't believe I forgot that one. I am so sorry. So I kind of ruined my rainbow palette here, like the order, but you know, like these last 3 colors look pretty great together. So like if I were to just choose 3 spring colors, it would probably be these 3 down here at the bottom. And I might find myself using these 3 the most. And then this whole area of teal and turquoise, or actually this is mostly teals, is just something I would use all year round. All right, so let me know down in the comments what you thought of these ink colors, and if you might want to try any one of these, and let me know what your pens that you have inked up for the month of May and going into June. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and you know, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and hit the notification bell to be notified of my future videos. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching my videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.